We're going to be talking about leveraging cultural narratives for global brand success. And basically what that means is, how do we, as Nigerians, with very specific ways we've grown up and ways we understand the world, position ourselves without selling out, but also being understood by the bigger world around us. All right. So I'm going to jump right in. First of all, I would like all of us to give Jomi a round of applause. Let's congratulate him on opening Nigeria's first skate park. Jomi, stop side-eyeing me. Which is a fantastic milestone. It's a really, really big milestone. And so I want to ask, when you were creating WAF, conceptualizing the brand, to what extent did you focus on, if at all, the fact that you are Nigerian and African, or was it just, I want to have a skate park regardless of where it is?
When I first started, I won't lie to you, it wasn't cool to be Nigerian, if I want to be honest with you. I used to lie that I was Jamaican. Was in the UK, because I think it was the era of us being like scammers, and it's just the truth. So for me, I think it started as purest form. I love skateboarding. Mm-hmm. I grew up in parks, but I kind of had this urge. I knew that it wasn't just me that was skateboarding, you know. I felt like other people wanted to as well, but we couldn't like find each other. So I got to work. I was just skating as often as I could and just expressing myself through skateboarding. And then I think I met the right people, and then, you know, I feel like if you meet the right people doing the right things, like anything is possible.
Excellent. And so now you're pretty much known the world over for the fashion brand and the skating community. And does being a skateboarder in sort of like a cosmopolitan West African city, which is designed very differently, our culture is very different, does that bring anything into the global conversation? Is that something that ever comes up at all?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, people said skateboarding wouldn't work in Nigeria. Even close friends and family told me it wouldn't work because they couldn't visualize. I think they were putting the standard of skating in the West, but I think the beauty of skating is to discover skate spots, and also discover your city and show your city. So I think it was actually more challenging, but also more interesting if you could crack it, you know. And I think Lagos is a skatable city. It's usually non-skaters that say it's not skatable, but it is really. Lagos Island is very skatable. For example, some estates are skatable, and skateboarding is about discovery. So sometimes, even at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., we see a spot, we go back there at like 3 a.m., record, you know. So it's a skatable city like any other city. But I think nobody really like harnessed it or took it seriously.
Oh. Okay, I have another question that's following up from that. Because when WAF started, we knew about the clothes. But now it's moved into like a different type of company. You do multiple things. Mm-hmm. And I'm really want you to explain to the audience these different stages in your evolution. Like, there was how you started, and there's what we knew, and then there's developing it to a community, and then there's moving into like fashion, and there's moving into a physical location. So I wanted to ask you, like, what were the stages in that evolution?
I mean, we started like very organically. I feel like we're skating first, but skating doesn't really, you can't sustain a brand just skating. And I think Nigeria we didn't have enough skateboarders at the time, or we're not known for that. So what I did was I transcended into doing exhibitions, actually, art exhibitions. It's called Friends and Family Exhibition. TZ used to come for that, actually. It was where the story of the shop went like, we got a space because I used to go pick up skateboarders and then drop them off, and that was too much. So I said, okay, let's meet at one spot and then let's create a shop. But when we got the shop, we didn't have any clothing, nothing to like to do. We just wanted to meet, but we said, oh, we have to make money and keep this thing going. So I reached out to all my friends, Yadi, Logo, a few other people, to do an exhibition. and we did different categories of exhibitions every Friday, and then that took off, and then we had enough money to then go into clothing, and that was where like I feel like at the time there was no, the art world was just very like I won't say like for the older generation, but it looked a certain way. And I think I was trying to shed light on skateboard art or like illustrators that I fucked with, or friends and family that were around. So that was the art thing. Then we started making clothing. And with the clothing, I wanted to make sure that we fully expressed ourselves and also show off our city, our lingo, our like inside jokes, what we thought was cool and funny. And then from there, we then went into trying to do our own skate festivals, which actually Native was the first company to sponsor us for that on Lagos Island on the street. And then we kept going next year. And I think COVID helped. I think people that wanted to skate now picked up skateboarding globally. And I think that's when the ripple effect started to come, and I needed to get a skate park soon. But I've been trying to build, our biggest thing was to build a skate park since our inception 12 years ago.
Fantastic. So on a similar trajectory of kind of morphing into more than what you started with, TZ Native has kind of progressed from being just a magazine to a festival, and now you have a record label. And the focus really is on African talent, what we're able to do, what we want to do. And I want to ask, as a group, even within that change, how do you guys figure out how to stay as consistent with your core, as honest and authentic with what you originally valued as a brand? Or has that changed, if it has?
No, I think those things have stayed the same. Because for us, when we started Native, we saw that there was like a gap for supporting or platforming like young African talent on a global scale. I mean, like Jomi would say, like me and Jomi used to work a lot back in the day. Back then, if it wasn't Wizkid or Davido, they didn't speak about young African talent, specifically in the music space. Even at the time, the art space, fashion, all those things were still very niche. Maybe there was one person that was recognized globally, but we're like, there's so much talent coming out of Nigeria and West Africa specifically that we have to platform all these people. So, for us was about how can we be the representative of West African cultural renaissance on a global scale. Instead of having Complex magazine coming to tell you the story about Burna Boy, Native have to be the first person to have a cover story about Burna Boy. Instead of GQ coming to talk about Stephen Tayo, Kenneth Eze or whatever, or Moalola, we'll be the first people to platform those people. And I think that was extremely important in us not necessarily controlling the narrative, because we don't want to control the narrative, but about telling those stories from the most authentic lens. And that's what Native is all about. I think the funny thing is, Native Land Festival happened before Native Land Magazine. And for us, it was like, okay, how can we make the African talent in the diaspora, at the time, J Hus was heavily known to be African. Okay, let's bring it to Nigeria for the first time. Skepta, Malik Berry, all these people that were kind of using their African roots mixed with their UK-centric ability to kind of globalize the African feel. But we said, but at home, we have people like Santi, who has a song that's translating all across the world, but not everyone knows who he is. You had Odunsi coming up at the time. So like, how can we make the people from abroad and the guys back home, put them on the same stage so our people can feel like we're all on the same level? And that was a very important thing for us. So from the festival happened first, the next thing that happened was the magazine. And I think naturally, Shani and myself were always been music leaning people, because of DRB, Alter. Music was always my first love and the reason why we actually started doing this. So transitioning to a record label was a God-given opportunity that we're able to do. And again, I think when we had a record label, I think the assumption was, there's a specific type of artist that Native is going to platform. But for us, it's about who are the people that we feel have the most talent to translate what their local vibe is on a global scale.
Okay. Shaq.
Ian?
So your journey in comedy, has been very well documented because of how you started and your presence on the internet. The fact that from the beginning you were very clear about using what's been available to you in a very specific way. So I wanted to ask, particularly as a comedian, being a Nigerian comedian can be a very specific thing, and figuring how jokes translate on the global scale, how you're understood to a wider audience can be difficult. So I wanted to ask, in terms of authenticity, how do you manage both of those things? Because there are big opportunities where you have a global audience, but there's the fact that you are a Nigerian comic and a lot of your worldview comes from how you've grown up and what you've lived. So how do you figure out how to remain authentic but appeal to like just a wider audience in general?
Check. The work. So, voila. That English, I don't even remember every three.
Yeah, I beg.
So, trying to appeal to global audience has been my own main priority over the past 1 year.
Yeah.
Afrobeat itself opened my eyes to what can be. That is, if Wizkid, Burna, Davido, Odumodu, Rema, Fireboy can be shutting down shows outside the country, then why not content too? You get it? So to me, I want that kind of respect outside too, like that global relevance to me. So that's why I started my YouTube in the first place, where I just be myself. I show people, like, be the eyes of Africa. Like, I just be myself. Our humor is peculiar to us, as you said. But what can sell to everybody is being myself. Is a language everybody can understand. Is love. See, Kai was here a few weeks ago, and we didn't even know who the fuck he was, but we could understand because he was just being himself. Like, but we might not understand that kind of humor, but we could understand him being himself. Mm-hmm. So it's people over there too understood, okay, this fan, but he was just himself. I was not trying to push our humor on them. I was just be myself, my own experience, putting on them. So that's my own way of trying to push content to that global scale, and it's been good so far. From behind it's been going insane, and I can't wait for it to happen. Yeah, There's a lot that can be done. There's a lot, like, if you're funny now, you just want to make skits in Nigeria, and I feel it's too much of a cage for me. Too much I can do. I can open a show for Wizkid in the stadium. Why not? If I have that global relevance, why not? Why can't I be that person, a go-to content creator for global brands, global talent?
Hey.
And I'm just excited for what is to come. And this is me just being humble.
Fair. I do think that it's important for people who work in the creative space, particularly when what you're doing is still nascent, it's still on come up. There's the fear that what you're doing will never be. So it's easy to feel like a local champion. So what you're doing at home is great, but there's a fear that if you don't change dramatically or significantly, the world is never ever going to appreciate what it is you're doing. But I do think it's important, like you said, to kind of have the backbone of authenticity. And remember that what you're trying to do is communicate, not necessarily impose.
Yeah.
You're just trying to communicate like the essence of who you are. And so there are things you might have to tweak, but nobody is trying to find a knockoff version of what they have as an original. So nobody is looking for an African version of X. They want something new and unique, and that will always be like your value proposition. So it's not really about, I need to change completely, or I need to force people to understand who I am. It's just understanding that as a creative, like, people are always curious. I just need to make sure that I'm actually communicating the essence of whatever it is that I'm doing. Jomi, I want to ask you about the skate park in particular, because skateboarding culture is growing, but it's still not necessarily something that people immediately understand in Nigeria or in Lagos, even though you've made like significant strides. I wanted to ask, kind of, for economically, because that's what a lot of people will understand, like, okay, what's the where is the money here? What's the relevance of this thing? Like, what's the economic value of having a space where kids can come and skate?
I mean, hello, yeah. I mean, it's just like any other like sports. How do people in football make money? Even if people kick footballs around, festivals, competition, retail, partnerships, developing athletes, management. It's just the whole 360. And you mentioned that, oh yeah, it's a new sport. That I think you. I don't like football. I'm always very careful with when I say that with around Nigerians, but I don't feel like I'm the only one that is in that pocket, you know. And not to say that skateboarders don't like football, but I think it's one of those sports that's very individual rather than a group sport, but also it's based on crews. So I feel like I've always said I just want to be another option. So that type of person is like there's an option for them, you know. But in terms of the 360 of how, you know, in terms of the economic value, I think it's that building arenas. I have friends who have made a career from building skate parks. I also have new friends who have made a career for financing skate parks, you know. So I think it's the whole 360. It's actually quite cool. And I know since skateboarding is sometimes intimidating looking outside in. Even when you come to the park, you meet these people who are like, I feel incredible athletes who get slammed on the floor, get up, do the same thing, it's slamming. But I think people should try it and see, because I feel like if you keep going down and getting up and going down and doing the same thing, it's kind of like the mantra for life, you know. Keep going, you try, you keep going, you try till you get muscle memory, and you know, amazing things happen.
Thank you. It's easy. Running any sort of business in Nigeria is difficult. Running any sort of brand, running anything has very unique, very specific and different issues, positive and negative. But sometimes it feels in the creative space anyway that there's a sense of let's just try and do it sharp. Particularly when the commitment to excellence gets overwhelming for things that are out of your control. It's not that your artists don't want to do a certain thing or you don't want to put on a very specific type of show. It's just the environment might not be encouraging or have the capacity to do what you want yet. So how does Native figure out how to navigate those types of challenges but still keep to what you guys believe is important and maintain your integrity and like forward movement, momentum? Because that's the point. Like, you don't want to do anything just for doing it. It's like you have to be moving forward.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Jola. I think for us, it's about the experience of trying to do things that haven't been done before in territory. Because if you are attempting something like what Jomi has done with the skate park, or like what Shank has currently done with Kai, if you're doing something that hasn't been done before in territory, it's hard for there to be a yardstick to compare it to. But what people end up doing is comparing it to what they see the equivalent of that in the Western world, where people are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, $1 million sponsorship. I tell you, when we're doing native land or any of our native events that people come and like, oh, this is so cool, you know, one of our investors is here, we borrow a lot of money, you get in a lot of debt, you do all these things just to create an experience for your community, because you're like, if we don't start doing it now, are we going to wait until Nigeria is the space developed enough to actually hold a festival? I think that, you know, the kind of creatives we are, we want to challenge like what the norm is. We want to actually move out, do festivals that are not only in Echo Hotel. It's not a festival if you have a show inside Echo Hotel. You know, it's a banquet hall. But festival, you actually have to take it outside, experiment, try. See, Nigeria, you can't control the traffic. Last year, Native Land finished at 6 a.m. We got a lot of insults and all that, but at the same time, it was one of the best looking shows or the best put on festivals in the country. We cannot control the government's flow of how traffic runs into a certain area, but all you can do is try. Now, next year, 2024, the government have said, hey guys, how can we support you in making this thing make sense? You know, and that's those are the steps that you have to take to continue trying to strive for excellence. And it's very difficult, as Jomi will tell you. Jomi said what? Jomi, what, 12 years?
18.
18 years. Native to, I think we're in year 9.
Oh shit, what, 12 years? I thought it said the skate park.
Skate park.
18 years, about 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
Yeah, right.
9 years of attempting to do festivals on, on the scale of an international level. And now, the eyes are on Nigeria. And if they're now looking for, which people have tried to do something that is worth investing in or supporting, whether it was extremely successful, it was mediocre, or it was a failure, it's like, at least these guys tried. So it's worth investing in them so they can try again.
Yeah.
And that's really the motion that we're trying to do.
Yeah, I feel that completely. I remember when we started doing the podcast and like just even the embarrassment of having to explain, like we'll be like, is it a show? Is it radio? You now be talking, just trying to explain, and then you want to do a live show, and sponsors are like, so you just be there talking, and you'll be trying, and you're just trying to get people on board. But like you said, is that you do one, and in-house, you guys are a little bit embarrassed. Yeah, explaining a lot. Yeah, trying to get people to see the vision, and then some people catch the vision and go too far. So the expectations are so high. When you now do whatever it is you are doing, they're like, is this what you wasted our time doing? And, it's really, like he said, it genuinely is having the boldness to try something. And don't be afraid to look stupid. I guarantee you are definitely going to look stupid. And Nigerians will tell you,
yes,
you look very stupid doing whatever it is you are doing. But the point is that you actually genuinely, if you want to make strides, that shit only looks sexy many, many years later. The first few are dead, like they are rats. You are not going to look cool. You'll just be there. Your friends will be gendering. I know you're doing well. You're really trying. Your friends will be gendering you. But the truth is that like what you're trying to get to. So generally, like, you have to just be brave enough to try whatever it is that you want to do, that you can't see a template for. There is a community. Trust me, there actually is. It may not be as big as you want. You may feel like your effort is outsized compared to who is the number of people showing up, the number of people supporting, but it really does make like a huge difference when you start and when you try. And then it also attracts minds who will support. They may not have the money, but they may have skills you need. They may have the connections. They might be like, we have a lot of people that advocate for you in sort of like corporate, and you don't know. You're just going around doing what it is you do. And there are people in corporate being like, these people are trying to do something. We have this budget. Let's give them a little bit and see what they can do with it. So generally, like he said, trying is the most important thing. Shank, I want to ask you a bit about like strategy, because with comedy and content creation, there's having the idea, which is really fantastic, but there's also more and more understanding of the fact that you need strategy. You don't just create, or you don't always create and just hope for the best. You generally have to think about what's my strategy in moving this content forward. And I wanted to ask if there's anything you can share about how you used, what kind of strategies you've used to grow and then sustain interest and like, again, momentum.
Okay. First, I wouldn't say strategy, but like I would say I work on my own pace. Yeah. So people define consistency differently. So for me, consistency is not posting 2 times or 3 times a week. Consistency is, if I post once in 2 weeks, is the quality still there? So that's how I've always been. If you know see me in life for like 1 month, but when I post, I know that is worth it. So like that's how I move. And with what Afrobeat is doing and my vision to cross-pollinate with the international market, my whole strategy has changed. Like now I have to, aside talent, the brand itself have to look the look to an extent. Yeah. So that's just it. And as you said, nobody will know what you are doing till it's done. So you look like, bring his fools there. Our drum skits, John. Shout, John. But like, the brand has to look the look, because if it's not looking the look, even people that you don't know they are watching, they won't take you as serious as they should. Like they see you are going this way and later you are that way, they're like, or stay one place now. You get so that is the. I think you just have where you want to go, and whatever steps you're taking will lead you to where you're going. So like, I can't want to go to Aja, and I'm passing through. I can't want to go to Oshodi and I'm passing through Ekpe. Like I will look stupid. So when I'm going to Bega, I have to go through this CMS side. So I just have a path I'm following. And I think that's enough strategy for anyone. Like Tizzy now, he knows what he wants. So it might not be like strategy, but like he knows that this is what I have to do to get to this. And that's enough strategy. So that's just me too. Okay. I don't dibble.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I know a big difference happened with the traditional understanding of consistency. So prior to that, we would post generally when we like, so if Kemi and I were in the mood, you get an episode, we'll disappear for 1 month. Then we'll do another episode and we'll be consistent for 1 month. And it was even every 2 weeks, I think. And then we'll just enter a mood and we'll be like, I beg, I'm not doing this. But when we actually started showing up every week, it made a big difference. The community knew they could trust us. And they just felt like, oh, okay, I rely on these people for entertainment at a given time every single week. And it means that, like, I can, not that they'll share with people now, okay, where's the episode next week? Oh, these are serious people. So, I mean, I do think that committing to consistency, you're not actually going to love every individual thing you do. That's also a myth. If you're in content creation, the best you can do is be proud of, like, the quality. But maybe just personally, this is not an episode I would sit down and listen to. Like, because it didn't bang like this episode we did 3 months ago and everything was it just aligned. Not necessarily, but the fact is, like, it's just a muscle. You're constantly, like, doing the same thing over and over again. And I do think it would be nice for you to have, like, all the stars align every single time. But that thing of figuring out, I've committed to saying I'm doing this thing every week. And it's not like fun for me every single time, but I'm going to do it. Does make like a big difference. Looking at analytics is boring and it's annoying, but it helps you. Where is your audience? What do they like? What do they care about? What other things are they watching or listening to or wearing, depending on what you care about? It gives you an insight into their minds. And then, not because you're tailoring your content, but because you have that in mind, there's a way you think of your audience. And then they respond even better, because you are showing like a level of care because they've taken time to invest in you as well. So analytics are not sexy. They're very boring. It's quite annoying. But it does help you when you're planning if you ever have to. All right. So I want to talk about money, monetization and financial sustainability. If you're a creative here, your parents have mentioned that at least enough times for you to know that it's important. Even when you're doing things for the love of it, like Jomi said, you need money. At a point, they were all like, this is great, but we need money to sustain this. So I want to ask everybody about how they started thinking about and actualizing, like monetizing your brand while trying to stay true to who you are. And I'll start with you, Jomi.
Okay, so I got into the game not looking for money, to be honest, but I realized you need money to get your ideas out. So for me, for the last 10 years, I was more focused on being sustainable. So just breaking even, making sure we're all Gucci and we can do the next project. And even if we can't do the next project, we need to just think about how we're going to use the resources we have to create something. And I think people shouldn't focus on money at the beginning. Because you then lose touch of increasing your value proposition or your equity. So, I mean, this year I'm very focused on it because you will need to expand, you know. So, I don't know. I think expand. We have 2 stores now, for example, in multiple locations. The skate park. If you're going to scale, I think you need money. So you got to. Everything we're thinking now is about money. I think we've even now slowed down on the amount of things we put out. It's now more. I think you were saying consistency, but at the same time, I think if you're over consistent, you might now start be regurgitating rubbish. So I think now is to re-strategize because you have, like you said, there's so much data now that you can have direction, you know, and know like let's say, the kind of regions that are loving you, or kind of what people like you for, especially if you're trying to poke the bear to find out where people actually, because I like certain things at the brand that don't necessarily bring money. You know what I mean? And the things that sometimes bring money, they get boring sometimes, and you want to kind of like challenge yourself. So it's like a dance, you got to know where the chips fall. But money is, and they hit you with that gas as a creative person that you shouldn't think about money. I think is bad. I think about shifting where creative people can show that you can also live well. Because when we were starting, creative people were not the bums, but you could tell
raggedy.
You could tell the creative that you're creative. Yeah. So money is important, I think. Also for infrastructure, because after like the creative stuff, you want to get like a studio, you want to get like where you can house your ideas or your people, or a facility. So I think money, more important than money is assets, I think, for me, because it's assets that have created money. You put a camera on someone like, let's say, Steven Tyler, money comes out. It's not really about now maybe we can get a studio. So I feel like get your assets first in check, get all the equipments that you think you need to get your ideas out, and then money should flow. Does that make sense?
Sham,
Why do you just go?
money. We're talking about money.
I'll just talk about money. I always think about money. But as I say, like, when you start first, even if you're thinking about money, the money won't come first. Like, there should be a certain level of value first. Like, value brings money. Like, there's one analogy I usually use. Is like, if you go to where there are butterflies and you with a basket and trying to catch butterfly, you might catch only like 10. But if you make a full garden of a full, very nice green garden, butterflies will come there themselves and you can catch like 2,000. So that's what I just work with. So I just try to create value every time. Like, I just intentionally, every time I just try to create value. Like, if I don't need to sell more, let's shit. When you never enter, I just lash to more the way, like, I just want something very stupid. It might look stupid to people that are watching, but I know what that thing is meant to do. And it really does it, like, somebody will like it and they will pay for the value I'm bringing. So I just think, as a creative, what you should think about is value. If you're an artist, if you're drawing, it's not just about drawing. It's like, there should be value attached to what you're doing. So maybe there are plenty of artists everywhere. There are plenty skit makers everywhere. There are plenty musicians everywhere. So why should I pay you for an endorsement? Why should I pay you to come to my show? So that's what I try to create. I create value.
Thank you.
Yeah.
TZ, what about you guys over at Native in terms of like revenue? How has your mind shifted and what has been used?
Yeah, I mean, for us as well, it starts of any creative venture, because we're full-on creatives. When we started doing this, like the boys have said, it wasn't about the money in the beginning. It was about platforming and committing to supporting our community any way we can. And I'll just give you guys some honest facts here. I mean, we've had the magazine for 6-7 years. We have some of the biggest. I haven't collected a dime from anything we've done with Native Magazine. For me, that was just the biggest marketing tool that we had as Native, was having a magazine that we could carry anywhere in the world, from Japan to Cape Town to Los Angeles. Like, oh, those are those boys that do this Native magazine. Oh, Thames is on the cover. Oh, she just did this song with Future. Okay, there's a reason to have them in a room to have a conversation. Even down to the festival, the amount of loans and business support that we got in terms of money I got back in pockets is next to nothing compared to the amount of money I raised to make those things happen. And like the guy said as well, that value now made me as an individual a viable person that some brands might want to work with for consultancy gigs, to come and do creative direction. Another thing is, me personally, my own was because I know how important money was to me as a creative. I was not scared to do anything. Throughout my career, there's nothing I haven't done. I've modeled, I've held the camera, I've been an executive assistant. In my downtime when I wasn't recording music, I was going to Iba for Jetty to go and do oil and gas trading for no reason, just to hustle, because all those skills, they translate, and you're now mixing with different communities of people that are just like, this guy, you did, TZ, you did TV with Bod, you did with it, why are you doing this? It's like, I'm trying to get my vibe in every pocket of the community. So when the opportunity comes, people can look at me and be like, this TZ guy, he was a club promoter for 5 years. He did Native Magazine. He modeled for Nocta. He's Odumodu's label boss. Whatever the case may be, all these things are opportunities to just add value to myself, to make me a viable person in the creative sector. The first time we made any money in music, as I am now, I've been doing music since I was 16, was when we got the record label in 2022. That's the first time I made actual money doing the thing that I love more than anything in the world. So that's over 10 years of doing this because of passion, and believe that one day what me and everyone from this community is doing will eventually pay off. And you have the trials of tribulations. Your parents, you go through those battles, friends, families, people, there will be group chats where they will say, that one, what is he even doing? Well, all those things will be happening, but you have to have tunnel vision and focus and believe in yourself that one day this thing that you're doing will eventually pay off. And, thank God that hard work and dedication has gotten me and my people to where we are today.
Well, okay, they all said very cute things. But what I will say is, pay attention to data. If you have forerunners, see what worked for them. You don't have to make your own mistake. Learn from their own and move on and up. So follow the data. Don't create stuff for the audience you would like to have. Create things for the audience that already exists, and then you guys can upgrade together. So you want to make like really cool, very expensive designer clothing, but the kids that support you don't got the money. So what are you going to do with all that stuff? What are you going to do with it? Nothing. And then you're going to be pissed and angry and resentful, but you didn't look at your numbers. You didn't face facts about the reality of what is happening around you. So I will say stuff like looking at your numbers, looking at your data, being a bit bold. So think about things differently. Think about merchandising differently. Think about live events differently. Think about a live event might also be like a social media live event. You have to think about what serves your community and what serves you financially. Think about the brands you want to work with. Does it tally with the brand you have? So you want to work with this brand, but in what world are they communicating with you based on what you're putting out? And what kind of pivot will you have to make that's still authentic to you? So those are things to think about when you want to make money. And like he said, there's no shame in being realistic about the fact that what you love doesn't pay you yet. So you have to do what you don't want to do until it works. So I think that's about money. I don't know if we have any time for any audience questions, but that's it from us, really. Thank you guys for listening. And there's someone over there.
Hi, my name is Tobe Chukwu Jeremiah Biakoko for Backwaters. I have a question for TZ and Jomi. With regards to starting both Native Mag and Waffles and Crane, there is, this question of how long can you keep doing it on your own before you need to have co-founders join you? And what is the process with the agreement structure, essentially? Especially when you need someone who's good at legal, someone who's good at basically web design and digital marketing, you need someone who's good at operations and whatnot. How do you basically come up with an agreement structure that basically helps others come on board and actually have the same level of agency when it comes to executing your vision? Essentially, that's the question I had.
Is that the first? Yeah, nice one, bro. Yeah, nice one for you. No, because the truth is that, like you said, I'm not the founder of Native. I'm a co-founder of Native. Native was started by 5 people, 5 of my really good friends. So all of us brought something different to the table. I know front-facing, people always recognize myself and Shani, who leads on the editorial and the magazine side. But there are 5 of us at Native, and all of us have different skill sets that we brought to the table. Ademide, who works in the financial sector, Olushola, who was a music producer and worked within marketing in a bank as well, TZ, who was obviously from the music and fashion side of it, Shani, who's from the editorial and has a legal background. So for us, it was, now it seems like a lot of people, but all those people were essential to the growth of where Native are today because everyone brought something different to the table. And like they said, there's no I in team. Even getting other people on board to support, whether it's legal, whether it was people to help with financial analysts, like Ife Bakari is here today. Ife helped us in structuring a lot of the deals we've done at Native. So, and these were all friends within our community. We didn't have to go too far and too wide. It's people that believed in the vision, keyed into the vision, but are not necessarily in the culture, but wanted to support the culture. I think that was what was very important for me. It's like, who are my guys and girls? When I say guys, it's a general thing, right? Who are the people who want to be part of the culture, but don't necessarily participate in it full time? Those are the people that, we championed on this journey with. So that's how we did it. So we have partners since the inception of Native. So it's definitely not just me. In fact, the people doing the real work, they're around. Don't worry.
Joey?
Similar to what you said, like when we have co-founders as well, I'm also like for front facing. And luckily, I had like an older brother who kind of came from a different background, from design or just or my brother-in-law who's like my legal advisor. I think also, like he said, everybody that shows interest in what you're doing brings something to the table. Everyone is unique. I even think, even down to the cleaner, down to the janitor, everybody in my crew, in my company, everybody's keyed in, down to the bricklayer, building stuff. I think you should also, it's almost like a tribe. I think you should find your tribe, and also mentorship. I think also trying to speak to people who have done it before you. Maybe not in your kind of vision or whatever. Like, for example, the guys at Pata, I take them as mentors because they've been doing it for a long time and I'm learning from them. So I think everybody should have a mentor. Nothing has been, as much as we're bringing new things to the table, nothing has really, it's like nothing that is super new. You know what I mean? You still have to have a lawyer, insurance, this, that. So it's good to also speak to people who kind of have like gone through the same hurdle as you. Even with the skate thing, for example, because I feel like, for example, I'm trying to see what's next for us, because we've been trying to build this thing for 18 years and now it's here. What next? In 2 months it's gonna die down. It's gonna get normal. Now I'm talking to a few people who have relationship with, like in Adidas. It's nice because some of my pro friends, some of my long-term friends now, through partnership of building the skate park, were pro skaters for Adidas for the last 50 years. And now they're like bringing more people in. We have people from Thrasher around. That's a big deal for us. Taking them around, explaining our story to them, trying to bring them onto our vision and kind of help us. And also another thing is, you can't be ashamed to ask for help. I won't lie to you, I used to be that. I'll be like, I'll do it on my own. I'll prove a point. I was a stubborn guy. But I feel like I'm still stubborn. But I feel like asking for help is very important. There's a lot of strength in asking for help. I say, look, I'm stuck. I failed. I fucked up. I have no money. Or can you help me? Please. Even people like Ife too donated to the skate park, and that was me asking him. It's not like I said, please, can you help me? And to be honest, I've tried to build something for such a long time, but when I swallowed my pride, I started asking for help. I didn't realize that the people who didn't even care about skateboarding, maybe cared about me, were the ones who kind of, or even didn't care about creative space. They just wanted to see me cross the line. Were the ones who gave me the ultimate support. Homecoming helped me. Alara helped me. It doesn't mean begging. Begging is different from asking for help. Begging is annoying. But asking for help and not all help will come through finance. It can be showing up for you, I know, back to your point, me, I just try to stick with people that get it. If you stick with people that get it, everything will fall into place. Just keep showing up, keep showing out, and be nice. You understand? Be kind. A smile goes a long way. if you fuck up, say sorry goes a long way. We're not perfect human beings, And partnerships, which I'm learning, I can partner with anyone. We just have to see where we align, So to your point, build and they'll come, but also be very honest with yourself. Be clear with what your agenda is. And I feel like if you aligns with people will surprise you.
Yeah, great. So I would say just getting legal advice always helps. So you have like, I have this really amazing idea and I want to do it with my guys. Don't be afraid of like the hard conversation. Don't shy away from talking about percentages, what they're bringing, what they're actually going to be doing. Just not me and my guys are building this thing, because that will lead to resentment. Having clear paperwork helps. Just don't be afraid of like very uncomfortable, kind of embarrassing conversations. And having paperwork doesn't make you a weird guy. It's just we're all protecting ourselves. Also being honest with the fact that like there's some stuff that's just not going to grow beyond what it is if you don't get very different kind of help. And my business partner and I always joke that 100% of zero is zero.
Yeah.
Both of us had individual dreams that we were carrying and would have remained ideas. So we started working together. So that's really important. Don't discount what you've already put in, but be very aware and honest about what the value is that other people who are coming in will be bringing. So all that stuff is actually real, like legal finance jargon that you need people who really know their shit to work with you on. And just because your friend wants to work with you on something doesn't mean that you should do it together. They're just your guy that wants to work with you. That doesn't mean it's going to work out. So I think it's important that you also have that in mind, because 5-6 years down the line, a personality hire is no longer fun. They're just annoying. Because they're not pulling their weight. They're just very irritating. So yeah. Sorry, Stephen, and then
I am just curious to know some of the ginger and the feeling when you guys were starting. I mean, even including yourself. What are some of the observations that you kind of had then, maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago, and you think those observations are kind of still present in you in 2024?
the only thing was shamelessness. And now I have shame. So that's the only thing. I think there's a naivety with which you move when you're starting that you can never ever get back, because you actually don't know the scale of what you're taking on. Just say, I'm going to do this. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. And then you're moving very fearlessly because you don't know what it is you're taking on. You don't have a scope of what those numbers look like. I want to build a skate park. You're not yet thinking about like urban design. You're not thinking about licenses. You're not thinking about dealing with state government. You're not thinking about dealing with local or indigenous communities. You just have this thing and you're just moving. So that fearlessness, I don't know if it's possible to get it back. By the time you hit your first wall, you start moving in a very realistic way, which can be very sad because it takes away the magic of just trying. But I think that's the main thing. But also what I think is really cool now is up then you knew that you were up against a lot. Like people don't get this thing. Now it feels like people are just a lot more receptive to ideas that are different, which is nice. But like I said, because you've lost that kind of like shamelessness and fearlessness, you might not approach it in the same exciting way. So yeah, I think that's the only thing. Like I think we were a lot more like chill and fun, and we also didn't have industry friends, so we used to talk anyhow. We used to say anything we liked, and people really enjoy that as well. But like you mature and you realize like you're joking, but you're hurting people's real feelings. You're discouraging people from trying again because you've made fun of them in a way that they no longer want to try out this thing that they were just figuring out. So some of that fearlessness is like the main thing for me. Like when I want to do something now, I'm just like, nah, don't worry. So I think that's the main thing. TZ?
Yeah, I'm with Jola with that 100%. That fearless ginger, like you said, ST. I mean, at the beginning, we're doing this just strictly out of the love for the game. Not really because of, man, so bad that now 1 year plan, when everybody says, oh, what's your 5-year plan? And Nate is like, okay, what are we doing in summer? Then what are we doing in December? That's how we're thinking about the moment. We're not even thinking, oh, this thing in 5 years from now, oh, you can go and sell to Live Nation at 51% stake. And almost like, bro, I need to see Bodge perform next to Skepta. That was what was shocking me. That was what used to excite me, because at the end of the day, it was like I was a fan of what I was doing, but at the same time, I was working in it. So that feeling of working on something you love, but you're also excited about it. Now, like you said, with trials and tribulations, with things happening really well, then the next one not being well, your expectations and the expectations of the community have completely changed. I feel like now when I do anything, I feel like people compare native land, the expectations for a native land would be the same as expectations for Afro Nation or Wireless. When those people have millions of dollars supporting them, and us, we can barely get brands in Nigeria to give us 1 million naira to do something that's going to cost you over 500 million naira. So I think growing up and understanding the game from a more business side, it definitely changes your approach to everything, even the way that you can participate in whatever it is you're doing. But I think the most important thing is, even though the fear and all those things kind of changed, my love for what I do never changed, and that's why today we're still doing it. So whether things went well, whether things didn't go so well, the love for supporting the community and just trying to bring something that I feel this city deserves is what drives me on till now. Yeah.
Jomi? Sean?
You asked for 12 years experience. It's Yao should talk.
I think for me, I feel like I'm still a kid. I won't lie to you. I don't think I have the same fears you guys have. I'm still 16 in my head. The skate park is still settling in. I approach everything with the same excitement. So I love making skate videos. I try and, when making a skate video, you cannot be too safe. In short, you need to be even crazier. You need to, we'll go to Abuja next week with the Thrasher team, and I know it's going to be fun. You need to keep that, it's very spontaneous. So that kind of has kept me young, and I take that energy into the business and stuff. When I first started, to what Steven asked was, what's the spark you had in you? Is it still there? I mean, I'm still looking for the next pro skater to go globally. It's like fishing, that's exciting. Tours are exciting. I think what we do is discovery, and literally, someone can say, "Fuck, man, there's a spot in Ivory Coast. Should we take a road trip?" One person says, "Yeah." We say, "Oh yeah, okay. You have film? Yeah. You have a car? Yeah. How are we gonna go?" So it's for me with skateboarding, it still keeps me on my toes. Even our design process could be a joke, or from seeing something. And if I get too serious or take the fear into consideration, I will end up like Primark, just making pointless things. You understand what I mean? Which can easily happen. So for me, the act of skateboarding, you cannot be fearless. So for me, I've taken that into my daily life, and that excitement is still in my, yesterday, the guys arrived and we all skated, some guys from SA, we all skated the skate park, and I was like, fuck yeah, I it's time to go. That doesn't require fear. When the skate park was done, I got really drunk and I dropped it and I hurt my wrist. I waited like a week and I'm back on it again. You can't stop. So the ginger is still there. I don't think it will ever die. And also in Lagos, the act of waking up and surviving the first 2 hours, you can't have fear. You understand? It's Nigeria is designed for you to be fearless, by construct. So the ginger is still in me, and I think he's got it. Pardon?
He's going.
It's going on. It's not gone yet. It's still going.
He's going. Okay. Last person.
Yes. So I have a couple of questions.
No, it's one. No. It's one.
So I have for each of them.
But there's one. Choose the one that is gingering you the most.
Just the way but
How big?
What?
I can get the answers after the show. I'll do that
Yes.
now.
Okay, no problem.
So for how are you combating skates being branded as a rich kid sport?
say that
Or
again.
kind of like
Say
how
that
are you
again.
combating the branding of skates?
What do you mean a rich kid sport? What do you mean?
Voila.
Don't you? After guys, speak out the skate.
But so I can't hear you.
Skates like a resistance. I don't know if you get it, like a rebellion against like rules and stuff like that. And that should not be limited to rich kids. But that is how it is. What are you like? What are we like doing to like combat that branding? Because at first, you won't expect someone that can't even like themselves to and get the skate.
That's a very
But
fair question. No.
right, because you can like get it rented around. Is there a way to like put prices down, letting you know
Mad.
Okay. Thank you for that question because I think you're speaking for a lot of people.
particularly?
Okay. So I think saying skateboard is a rich person sport is a perceptive thing.
Financial soon actually.
No, I'll get there. Okay, let me start with the financials. Skateboarding is priced the same way globally, right? So in a skateboard, you have, let me break it down to you. You have the deck, you have the trucks where this wheel sit, the bearings, the wheels, and the nuts and bolts. In Nigeria, we have, for a very long time, we also try to bring down that price. Also, when this, so it's the same price globally. So there's nothing we can do that with economics. That's the government or President Tinubu. But what we've done is that if you come to the skate park right now, there are boards for you to use. You understand? Also, we also have a loan thing. You can actually drop some money down, you can loan it, and you can bring it back. Also, when you say the rich person sport, I don't know about other crews or people into skateboarding, but my guys, we are okay. You understand? Let me use the positive way because people have told me, no, we are okay. I've been to some of my homies' places who are really core skateboarders, and I left and I cried in my car, and I did what I had to do to make life better for them. So, and it's by design, we are a business, so we need to sell, we need to grow. And to be honest, we want to make good quality products. When we first started, our clothes were really cheap because we wanted to sustain our community. But we realized that the people who actually patronize us are people who want to support us, who are not necessarily in the lower economic chain class, but at the same time they want quality products. So I've never seen a place in the world where you can deliver quality products for super cheap without having to. So I understand. Maybe if you're looking at it from a price point, if you really want to skate, you can skate at next to zero. When we started, we had one board. We used to share with Sloan, Leonard Onyedi, and if Ehi, we all had one board. And then people kind of gave us boards. And if you actually really want to get into the skateboard community, I am sure people will give you a board. I'll give you a board. Meet me after, I'll give you a full setup.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Jump out.
I beg.
The next one is for Shank. Kaisenat came to Lagos, Nigeria, and you did the whole trip. It was beautiful. So I'm asking, like, are you looking at pivoting into the streaming business since there's like an African void presently? They don't like, you're doing something like that. My answer short, deaf. Can you like tell us like
Oh, he said there's.
deaf? Just wait, Abby.
I will buy a computer and put internet. Yeah, I'm looking into it, of course. Like, I've always wanted to do it. So, Kai come in, and the whole thing that happened last 2 weeks made a lot of people download Twitch because they don't want to watch. So, to me, that was a good, like, I usually say I make moves. You don't know when I'm making a move to the mid. So now, I'm not telling you to download Twitch, but some people there to just watch Kai. And that way you have Twitch already for anybody that wants to stream, not just me. It's not just from because one person can't build the OP. It has to be a movement. So
You got the Twitch, open account, say you stream.
And lastly, I'll just ask TZ the questions. I'll get the answers after the show because I have like 3.
You are a scammer. You know that it's going on outside. You are a journalist.
Your personal brand, your lifestyle. How did you like merge it together? Because I'm a big fan of like your lifestyle. Apart from music, your lifestyle. The brand stuff play, game. I can literally see the strong points of your branding, yes, stuff, the looks and all. So like it makes sense. How are you able to combine it? Bearing in mind that you are different persons or different places. It's not easy when he's in oil and gas. It's Mr. Zacchaeus. You know, like it's different. How do you like bring it all together in a personal brand? Then second one, I got to know like native properly as like an underground thing. I've been hearing the native stuff, but now it's global, it's mainstream. What are you guys doing to ensure that you don't lose touch with the underground? Because that's what the real source is. And lastly, with the topic cross-cultural currency, you embody that topic personally. Because like your whole switch and all. So how was the experience like? How do you feel like with platforms like Olympic, you can like do more of that? Seeing that this is like a jackpot.
You go explain style. You can't even remember what the question. Go explain. I'm very sure you cannot remember the question.
You see Anuvex.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
No, you don't have any question for me. It's okay.
Yes. You know, I don't question.
Thank you. But thank you guys for listening.
He wants me to come and ask him personally.
I tell you, a long.
Please give the panelists a round of applause. Thank you guys so much for your time. We had a wonderful, wonderful time with you. Do you want to tell them the next? What's happening next?
Wait, yes. So just to wrap this up, wanted to say thank you to all our panelists for taking the time. As part of Homecoming, a bit of our belief in a key pillar is education. And I think it's so amazing to hear from all 3 of you who have really like started looking and grown into international brands and have applicable knowledge that can apply to creators like you. So one big round of applause for our panelists, please. That was amazing.